Well, happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome to week number 10 of SU Football Weekly here on the Vype Live Network. My name is Merle Bertrand, joined as always by the head coach of the Southwestern Pirates, Coach Joe Austin. Sid Vincott, our producer, Michael Rose here giving us a hand tonight. My better half, Christina Weber, our QA, back at the comfy, cozy Vype Live studios. And before we get into the show, we want to thank some of our sponsors, including Antioch of Georgetown, Baylor Scott and White Healthcare, Chapel Realty Group, Chick-fil-A, Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, Hewlett Chevrolet Buick Volkswagen, Double Dave's Pizza, Eagles Wings, First Texas Bank, and Gary Brown CPA. Coming up tonight on the show, we'll hear from junior quarterback Jake Clemens, and our very special guest, Southwestern University President Dr. Laura Scandera Trombley, is here to join us tonight. So looking forward to that. Coach, a fun afternoon of football last Saturday up in Sherman, Texas. Great atmosphere. They were all pumped up because it was their homecoming. Beautiful football weather. It felt like it was on a Big Ten campus somewhere. And most importantly of all, the Pirates with a nice win. Your overall impressions of Saturday afternoon's 40-29 win over Austin College.
They were all pumped up. They were excited for that football game. Am I good?
You can bring it up just a little bit. Sooner was tweaking our camera, trying to be in two places at once. There we go.
Yes, we'll talk about Austin College, but I want to thank the diehards. This was our first, in 10 years, we've never had a show fall on Halloween.
Right.
And I was texting our corporate partners, and they're like, I'm trick-or-treating, I've got to work the door, I've got kids. So it's our smallest group of the year, but it's a great group of the year. Wouldn't ask for a better group of folks. So thanks for everybody that's being here. I'm sure we have a lot more folks, parents watching online and things while they're handing out candy than are here. But thanks for everybody for being here. A good weekend up at Austin College. The first time we had been there in quite a while because they had been off our schedule since we left playing in the old conference.
Right.
The SCAC, we played them every year. And they've done some really good renovations. They put in a great field. They did some good stadium renovations. So it was a much upgraded experience from what it used to be. And I was talking to their coach before the game. We played a muddy game up there in 2014.
I remember.
And it rained a ton.
Yeah.
And it rained a ton in Georgetown on Friday as well. And I was talking to their coach before the game. He's like, yes, if we didn't have this new field, you and I'd be ankle deep in mud right now as we stood in the middle of the field. And it had just this giant crown. So when you're standing on your sideline, the crown was so big, you couldn't see it. You're like knee to knee as far as what you can see. So congratulations to them for doing some really nice facility upgrades and making it a really good place to play. But it was a great day for the Pirates. We'll talk more about it. I'm sure you'll have some questions. But we had a great spurt from when we took the ball on offense in the first period through to the last third of the third quarter, where we really dominated play, got out to a 40-14 lead, scored touchdowns on 4 straight drives. They had 5 drives in a row where they didn't have a first down. So one of our best periods of football in a single game of the season.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that about the turf, and kudos to them for doing that. But TJ went up there. TJ and I were kind of like, man, I wish this place was grass. TJ, of course, now that he's not playing, is like, I wish it was still grass because it was fun to be playing a good old mutter game out there. You used to say that from the broadcast booth, right?
Well, we threw the ball pretty well, so I'm glad that we didn't have to play a mutter game. We were the more dominant passing team, so it worked out fine for us that it was a better field surface.
Well, we'll look at the highlights here in just a second, but they kind of came out swinging with a long touchdown run, and from what I recall, that was pretty much it as far as that goes. He really shut them down, shut down that running game. We talked about that on last week's show, how tough that was going to be to do. What changed to shut that down? Was it better execution? Was it sort of like, okay, now we've seen this, now we know what we're facing?
They're a very unique offense, and so you don't see them in practice the way you see them in the game.
Right.
The second group offense that demonstrates what they do is not the same speed and precision. They score an opening drive touchdown almost every game,
right,
just from the element of surprise. And then once teams see it and the element of surprise is gone, then the game really evens out. And that's what happened for us is they scored their second play. Our middle linebacker took a bad angle on a play that I'm sure we'll see in the highlights that we made a tackle for loss on later in the game. But on the second play of the game, he didn't have his angle down quite right because the way that he saw it in practice was different. And so he had to adjust to that. Their second drive, they got 1 first down. Mm-hmm. That was the last first down they had until the end of the third quarter. Then we got into those 5 straight drives of stopping them without a first down. So it was just a matter of our defense. We had a great plan from Coach Kriesel, our defense coordinator from Bill Kriesel. We worked on it really hard all week, and once they got the angles down and they could see that option offense full speed, we did such a great job in execution.
Well, let's take a look at some of it. Good stuff on both offense and defense. Southwestern 40-29. Let's take a look at last Saturday's highlights.
All right, Josh W. did a great job editing these. He put them together close. Great graphics here from Matt Madsen in our graphics department. Really kicks off our highlights really well. So we gave him the ball to start. It was a windy day. We deferred. We played with the wind, kicked the touchback. And this is the second play of the game, and you can see we're not there. Later on in the game, I know we'll see the same play again, and I'll point it out. We're going to tackle it for a 4-yard loss.
Right.
It's just a matter of not seeing this offense at all. You don't see another double wing option offense. We came out, had a 10-play, 75-yard drive ourselves, some really key third down drives. This is Damian Gomez delivering the football. He was named the ASC Conference Player of the Week. I think you'll have a graphic for that. We'll talk more about Damian as we go. But these completions, he came out on fire, stringing together completions. We got our run game really going in the second half. And in the first half, Damian, both running and passing, did a great job. That was Damian's first rushing touchdown. He had 5 touchdowns on the day, 3 rushing and 2 passing. Now our defense is getting settled in. This is the second drive. They got 1 first down. Now they're short on 4th down. They attempted a fake punt, but they jumped off sides on it.
Right.
That forced them to punt. Jaquan Marion, our sophomore running back, had a career high, 145 yards rushing. We'll see more of Ethan Powell. There's an attempt, Ethan Powell, almost for a touchdown. Ethan had a career high, 155 yards. And here's our guest, Jay Clements, his first start as a punter, his very first collegiate punt, and he pins him. Rolls it right down to the 1-yard line. And again, it stopped by itself at the 1. You couldn't do it any better. We have them backed up. Our defense does a really good job of getting the ball back. We're seeing a couple stops of their wing T hybrid option offense, and then Damian goes back to work. Great job running and passing. He had 76 yards rushing. We mentioned the third down, but he ran it when he should have ran it, and he threw it when he should have thrown it. Just really efficient game. There's the pass to JoJo Wilson. JoJo had 6 catches. Here's Ethan Powell again. Ethan had 8 catches for 155 yards. Unfortunately, that one he fumbled. That drive would have been our 7th touchdown. We were really just getting on a roll. This is the string where our defense had 5 straight stops without a first down. They tried the bootleg, tried to run it. They tried the toss. Malik McDonald beats the reach block, forces the punt. We get the ball back. And now we're going to start on our 4 straight drives of touchdown. We've talked about the Jimmy Joe pass before this year. Our Jimmy's better
I quoted you on that,
than
by the
your
way.
Joe. We just threw it up to Ethan Powell. Nice catch coming back by Mitchell Garrett, who had a career high 4 catches for Mitchell, who's a sophomore. We didn't score on that drive, but we pinned him, and our defense is back to work. This is going to be a 3-and-out drive. That is one of the plays that we had trouble with early on, and there you see we had no trouble with it. Damian just working in the pocket, finds JoJo Wilson again for a 3rd down conversion. We were really efficient on 3rd and 4th down. Look at the patience there, just moving in the pocket, looking, scanning, finding Ethan Powell for the nice 30-yard gain. Great finish by Ethan, the yards after the catch. And that time, of course, he holds onto the ball. We're down into the red zone. And then Damian's going to go back to Ethan one more time. Through the cameras. It's a busy box up there, right?
A little tight up there.
It's a little tight. And again, we're on our streak here. This is the play they scored on, second play of the game, and now it's nothing. It's 3-4 yards. It's 4th down. We're done. They go for it on 4th down at midfield, which is very characteristic of option-style offenses. So this is the last drive. They give us the ball with 1.5 minutes. We're able to negotiate the 2-minute drive really well. That's Christian Reeves, freshman running back from not too far from Sherman, who had his first 2 touchdowns of his career in the second half, as we'll see. A nice play down to Ethan Powell. A good run by Christian. Now we're down into the deep red zone again. And Damian Gomez is going to finish this drive off again himself. He's going to cut back on the run. Over pursuit by Austin. A nice block by JoJo Wilson. A nice block by Mitchell Garrett. And that's a big score. It went from 13-7 to 20-7 at halftime. Then we take the ball, and our running game really got going in the second half. Our offensive line did a great job. That's the first play of the second half, a 9-yard run for Jaquan Marion. Then Jaquan breaks off one of his 3 big chunk plays, a 25-yard run there. We're in business. Here's Jaquan again. Actually, a nice play for them to slow us down a touch, but we were not going to be denied on this drive. Nice third down conversion there. Damien getting it to Mitchell Garrett, who again had a career high in receptions. And then this is Christian Reeves, his first touchdown. Christian's been building all year, and we've had some running back injuries. Johnny Tysquee's out, Sam LeBleu is out, Noah Camacho's out, and Christian got an opportunity. That is the exact play they scored a 73-yard touchdown on for a 4-yard loss. We just had to have time to see it. Great game by Blaine Corkin, who was selected by his teammates as a Defensive Player of the Week. And then here's Jaquan's big run, a 45-yard run down the sideline, 2 pullers out in front, JoJo Wilson leading them out in front, and we're ready to get another touchdown to end this drive. Great patience again by Damien, gets to JoJo Wilson. Again, he had 6 catches.
Look at the time.
Yeah, nice patience, nice timing. Second down run, gets close down to the end zone. We actually had a little bit of trouble. It took us a few downs to get it in there. As you can see, they good credit to Austin College. They pushed us back a little bit. And then Christian Reeves, he caught the touchdown the drive before, runs it in. 2 touchdowns for the freshman running back, Christian Reeves. So Austin College got a little bit going late because they started to throw the football. Early in the game, they didn't throw it at all. Once they started to throw, they didn't have a ton of success, but enough to keep us on our heels a little bit. This will be the start of our last touchdown drive. Actually, that was when we gave up. That broke our string of 4 in a row. The ball was wet. You can't tell. The end zone film, you can see how much it's raining on the coach's film. You guys have such great cameras, you can't see quite how hard it was raining.
We could see it dripping off the roof of the press box.
Yeah, for sure. So that kind of broke the string of 4 touchdowns. They had a short field. That was a 4th down conversion by them. They're going to eke this thing down. And on 4th down, it took 2 4th down conversions for them to score, but they get it in there. So you think, are they going to tighten it up? Are they going to tighten it up? No. Damien Gomez goes back to work, finds Ethan Powell again. The drive's moving. The 4th quarter starts. The 3rd chunk run of the day by Jaquan Marion, another 25-yard run. We're getting it right back down to scoring range. And this drive will eventually end with Damien's 3rd touchdown run. It puts it out of range at 40-14. 3rd down carry again, and then I think the next play we'll see actually another run by Christian Reeves, and then we're probably going to see the scramble by Damien Gomez for the 5th touchdown of the day for him. Patience in the pocket. As I said, he ran it when he should have ran it, and he threw it when he should have thrown it. So such an efficient game by Damien in his 2nd start of the season. Unfortunately, now we're up 40-14, a position we're not really used to being in this season, and we didn't finish the way we'd want to finish. It took them a long time to really move the football. They got this one chunk play there, and they tried to make it interesting. But again, at 40-14 with 11 minutes left, things were going okay for us. We would love to finish that out and be a little bit stronger. A nice scramble by their quarterback. This is their last touchdown drive. They're going to move it down. It took them 15, 16 plays. There's a lucky break for them. We tip it right to them. Things went really well for them in the 4th quarter. And you got to give them some credit. Their quarterbacks, they played 2 of them. They scrambled around, did some nice things. But we're down to 3 minutes. They're just making it close. We recovered the onside kick here, and we executed it perfect. Our blockers blocked. Ethan caught it, no problem. Easy doer. We're going to come out, run a little bit more time. It's 3rd and long. They know we're going to run it. And this is another great play by Jake. So the punt rolls back to him. We didn't get a great view of the snap. It rolls back. He fields it and just gets the punt off. If he gets tackled or they block it, that's a huge momentum shift. Now, the 1:50 left. They're going to get a few more first downs, but they're just out of time. Things are really – it's just a matter of time, a formality. Matt Bruloss with the sack. They'll get a couple more first downs. But again, the clock is against them, and we get a sack by Jason Lund to end the game. So the final score was closer than it looked.
Right.
We dominated from after their first 2 plays. We got out to the 40-14 lead. It was not close at all. 5 straight drives where they didn't get a first down. 4 straight drives where we scored. You can't totally dismiss the fact that we didn't close the game. We'll work on that. We need to get better at finishing. We didn't finish against Cal Lutheran like we wanted to.
Right.
So something we need to work on. When we get that lead, slam the door closed. But that's good for coaches. You always want to have that one
to
thing.
on, right?
You got to have something you can harp on.
It could be perfect. You talk about how they didn't break the huddle right.
You have to find something. So we have our something.
Right.
We didn't close the game like we wanted. But to get out to the 40-14 lead on the road, for Damien in his 2nd start to play as well as he did to be Conference Player of the Week, for Jake to punt as well as he did, he'll be on the show in a minute. For the offense to really stop their option offense, it was a really, really good game for the Pirates.
And before we go any further, I owe Jake an apology because the Perils are working without a spotter. I didn't realize I was calling him Ben Lancaster all day long, so I apologize for that, Jake. Chuck will be talking to him, and just didn't pick up on that, so that's my bad. So great game by him. Get ready with the graphic here soon. 526 total yards of offense. As you mentioned, Damian Gomez got the start. I thought he looked really sharp. 18 out of 26, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, plus 3 rushing touchdowns. There it is. That's a pretty good day right there.
Damian has had a very good season, and he has slowly worked himself into where he can be an option to be our number 1 quarterback. Landry Gilpin held that job for such a long time, and this season things just haven't clicked for Landry like they did last year. And it's a great time in Landry's career for him to sit back. He still played.
Right.
He ran the ball, threw the ball, and contributed to the football team. But I think you can see how the last few games, the ball has moved better when Damian's been our quarterback. And Damian got the start for Landry against UMHB, a tough task when Landry had a shoulder sprain. And he really opened that door. He played really well, very efficiently. Did a great job. And so when he's come in the last few games as well in different spot roles, the ball has moved well. And Damian has had some – when he came in, he wasn't a perfect quarterback, but no one is. He's really worked so hard to address the flaws in his football game to where he has said, I am an option. And when you guys need to go to me, I'm going to be ready. And this week was his opportunity to be the quarterback all week. He knew early in the week that he was. Landry knew what his role was going to be. Damian knew what his role was going to be. And Damian executed really, really well. But it's not so much about Landry not playing well as Damian was playing well. And he made himself a great option for us. And that's what so much of life is about. When you get your opportunity, what do you do with it? And this was Damian's opportunity. He got the start, and he earned Conference Player of the Week. And so he's going to get another chance this week.
Well, yeah, you play like that, you deserve it. Jaquan Meriden, nice day, 23 carries, 147 yards when the Pirates needed it the most. You touched on it a moment ago. We've been talking all year long about trying to establish a consistency, and for 3.5 quarters, the Pirates had the consistency. That one fumble towards the end of the game kind of opened the door a little bit. I think if that fumble doesn't happen, we're having a different conversation right now, probably a 40-7 or 49-7 kind of ball game. Talk about how those little things can change an entire football game.
You're absolutely right. I mean, and again, Jaquan knows this. If you're going to nitpick something about his game, he's had a lot of fumbles his first 2 years. That's what he needs to work on. When he's on, he's very good. He's
as
had
we saw.
5, 6, 7 games in his young career where he's been 130 yards or more. Very talented. But you're right. That was a big swing. We were 40-14 with the football. They hadn't stopped us in 2.5 quarters. So I know it's wet. I know it's raining. So you could maybe put an asterisk on that one. But we do have to hold on to the football. If we finish that drive, you're 47-14 with about 6 minutes to go.
Right.
It's a totally different thing. So we did open the door. We opened the door by that fumble. But we also had 2 chances to stop them on 4th down.
Yeah.
And defensively, we didn't stop them on either of those 4th downs. It was a team letdown. We need to work on being better. So what I'm saying is you can't hang that on just Jaquan.
Sure.
There was defense that contributed. There's things we could have done on offense to contribute. We just got to do a better job of finishing the game.
How badly did the team need that after the previous couple of weeks? A tough loss at ETBU, and then, of course, Mary Hardin-Baylor, Hardin-Simmons were really rough. How bad did they need to, with all the work, to finally get some positive reinforcement?
Well, it's certainly great. We played in that stretch 2 of the best offenses in the country. We played Howard Payne. We played Hardin-Simmons. The ETBU game was a disappointment because we didn't do well enough on offense, did great on defense. So it was really good to get into this phase of our schedule,
right?
Where we're on more of an even footing with some of these teams that are in the SCAC. That when our other sports, this is who we play against. In no other sport than football do we hang our hat on playing Mary Hardin-Baylor, Howard Payne, Hardin-Simmons,
right?
The teams, the football factories with the Division I transfers that we have to deal with week in, week out in football. So it was nice. Taking nothing away from Austin College. They're a consistent team every year in how they play. Their effort's great. They're coached really well. But it was nice for us to play a Division III football game where 2 high academic schools fielded 2 teams of Division III football players that just played hard. And both teams played hard. It was a clean game.
Yeah.
There wasn't junk between the whistles. There wasn't junk after plays. Both teams' locker room doors were 10 feet away from each other.
Yeah, you go in at the same time, basically.
We walked in and out as gentlemen and played a football game.
Yeah.
You can't do that other places in the American Southwest Conference. So kudos to our football players and kudos to Austin College players that we could go play a football game among young adult gentlemen.
Right.
It was a fun football game.
Well, you kind of answered my last question. They cleaned up some of the chippiness that you were upset about last week then, I assume?
We did a good job. Cards on the table. We had to pull one player for a drive for taunting and behavior that we don't want. And it's reinforced every week. We're not going to play football that way.
Right.
We're just not going to do it. And so we had to hold one player out. We're all accountable for our behavior. But it was certainly much better, no doubt about it. We did a good job of getting rid of the junk. The stuff between the whistles and the trash talk, we went out and we played a football game. And hopefully we can continue to do that.
Well, it was a fun football game to watch, and I'm sure it was a fun football game to coach and play as well. 40-29, the final score. Any final thoughts before we put the bow on that one?
No, good dissection, I think.
Yeah.
Just a great period of football. From the first minute wasn't great. From there till the middle of the fourth quarter, really dominant.
Right.
The score was a lot broader, I think, than it ended up. Again, we got to finish, but some really great performances. A lot of career highs, Conference Player of the Week, breakout performances by Jake Clemens, who you're going to talk to here in a minute. So a really good week for the Pirates. And it capped a really good week for Southwestern Athletics as well. We hosted the cross-country championships. Right. We had a third-place finish in cross-country, a program high. Volleyball had a great weekend, secured the number 2 seed in the conference. Men's soccer finished with a couple wins over the weekend. So a good weekend, and I'm glad that Southwestern football was a part of the really good weekend.
Such a shame there's nothing going on. That ends for quarter number 1 here of SU Football Weekly. When we come back, it'll be Crazy's Corner. Chuck will talk to Mr. Clemens, the punter, who I misidentified. My apologies once again. But that'll be coming up in quarter number 2 of SU Football Weekly here on Vype Live.
Welcome back to SU Football Weekly. This is Crazy's Corner in segment 2 instead of segment 3, and I'm joined by Jake Clemens. How are you this evening, Jake?
Doing good. Glad to be here.
So, Jake, I did a little bit of research on the SU profile, and I hope the information is accurate because there's some interesting tidbits about you on the website. Let's get into it here early. What are your thoughts about being selected first as a guest for tonight's SU Football Weekly? What was your first thought when you got that text call?
I mean, I was excited. I really didn't expect it, but I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to come here and to represent our football program, so I was excited.
it's an honor then, is what you're saying,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
That's kind of what I was
For
going
sure.
for there. So, according to the website, you transferred into Southwestern from another university. What made you decide to transfer from that institution, and what made you choose Southwestern?
Yeah, so I was going to another school.
You can name the school if you
Okay,
want.
I was going to BYU, and I was going to go and play there, just as like a preferred walk-on. I mean, it's a pretty big D1 program, and so I was just going to go and walk on, just see if I could be on the team and everything. And at about that time, that was right when all the COVID stuff was happening, and they didn't really have any walk-on spots, just kind of some weird circumstances like that. And I wanted to play football, and I'm from Texas, and I knew that Southwestern was a really good school, really good education, and an opportunity for me to play football. So I reached out to Coach Mask, one of our offensive coaches, and just asked if I could come and play at Southwestern, and here I am.
So how long were you at BYU?
I was there for just a year.
Just 1 year? Okay. Now, one of the things I also noticed is you were a multi-sport athlete in high school, and
I
you played
was.
4 sports, right? What made you choose football over basketball, track, soccer? What drew you to football?
So, I mean, being in Texas, being able to play in front of a big crowd, and I mean, I'd go from a football game where you're playing in front of 7,000 to 10,000 people on a Friday night to playing in a soccer game where it's freezing cold and there's maybe 10 people there. And so obviously I was just naturally drawn to football, and I love football. I love the sport of football, and so I think that's kind of what drew me to it.
It is. In my opinion, it is the best sport to play and be
no
a part
doubt.
of. Now, talk about the difference in experience from attending. You went to White House High School, which is in East Texas, correct? And it's a pretty small school.
It's a 5A school.
5A school, so it's reasonably large. So you were at a reasonably large high school in East Texas. You go to Brigham Young University, which is a pretty big institution, and then you're back to Southwestern. Talk about the difference in those experiences, and if Southwestern is a more positive of those three, give us the reasons why.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really do like about Southwestern, is because, I mean, it's pretty similar in as far as numbers go and to how it was for me in high school. And so I go to BYU, which is a really big school, and I mean, my classes, I'm in a big lecture hall with 300 other students being taught just in front of everybody like that. Whereas I come here where I actually know my professors, they know me by name. I'm in a class size from 15 to 20 people, and so just from like the education aspect like that, I mean, it's something that some people prefer different ways, but I like it better like that, and I like Southwestern because of that.
Yeah, I don't see how being in a class of 300 to 500 people is beneficial to the student.
Yeah.
Right? Oftentimes in the larger universities, they utilize those size classes to weed out those that aren't as dedicated, right?
Like, yeah.
And when you have such a low professor to student ratio like you do at Southwestern, there's a lot of benefit there.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the game, because you're listed as a quarterback. I assume, and this happens often in high school, the quarterback is oftentimes also a punter on a high school team. So I assume you've had some punting experience before your first start as a collegiate punter on Saturday.
I have, yeah. I punted in high school. I kicked and punted in high school. I think just from my experience playing soccer is kind of where I got that from and everything. And so I actually didn't really do it at Southwestern. I mean, this is my second year here, and I didn't do it at all last year, and I didn't even do it very much this year.
So it's been a few years since you've really been putting toe to
and
leather.
so it was just a couple weeks ago. I was talking to Coach Austin. I was like, hey, I can kick and punt, and so is that something I can start working? And I mean, that was probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I started working it, and I was able to punt in the game on Saturday.
Well, and I commend you for that, because you're in a pretty stiff, in terms of competition, quarterback room. We saw you've got Landry Gilpin, at one time Mr. Texas high school football. You've got Damian Gomez running for 3 touchdowns and throwing for a couple. And, that really is an example for others. Seek that point where you can contribute to your team and your brothers out there. Talk about the punt, the one that was on the highlight reel. Are you that good at golf? Can you put it right there in golf? I mean, were you that good at soccer that you were kicking the penalty kicks? I mean,
yeah, the punt just kind of worked out. I mean, it was like Coach Austin said, it was my first punt in a college game, and so it kind of helped me. It was a really good snap. I was able to get it off. I had the wind at my back a little bit, so that definitely helped. And I honestly didn't feel like I even hit it that great. I mean, I kind of didn't really go. I mean, it was kind of supposed to be more in the middle towards the right, and it kind of went to the left a little bit. But, I mean, I hit it really high. Our punt team did a really good job at getting down there, and so the guy couldn't really catch it, and it landed, and our punt team was there, so it worked out, and it landed in a really good spot.
Let me ask you this. The team that we played, Austin College, their punter is a highly nationally recognized Division III punter. Were you even aware of that? Did that motivate you at all, or you just want to go out there and do good?
I honestly had no idea. I mean, watching him, obviously you kind of look over at the other punter in pregame and stuff, and he looked good. I mean, he didn't look like a punter. He was a big.
Yeah, he's a tall guy. He looks like he could play forward.
Yeah, he was big, and he looked good, but I didn't know he was that good.
Well, you're pre-med, is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
So, what are your plans? Are you planning on practicing medicine one day? And if so, what is the discipline or your specialty that you're looking to get into?
Yeah. So after Southwestern, I want to go to med school. So I'm working on that, finishing up those classes I need for that. About to start studying for the MCAT. Go to med school, and I think right now the direction I want to go for that is I've always kind of wanted to be in orthopedics. Being orthopedics and specialize in sports medicine, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get to be involved in sports and also in medicine.
Well, I always try to encourage finding a way to give back to athletic programs because they do so much for youth, and it's regardless of their economic situation or whatever. You can contribute and help through athletic programs in youth, in high school, in college. So always encourage players to not distance themselves too far from the sport. And I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah.
Orthopedic surgeon, that would be awesome.
Yep.
So, so where do you hope to study this, the postgraduate when you get out of Southwestern? Where you looking to have your medical school at?
Anywhere I can get accepted, basically.
Do you have any in mind that you would prefer? Top choices?
I mean, honestly, any of them in Texas. They're all good schools. I've always, the one dream school I would love to go to is UT Southwestern up in Dallas, or the medical school here in Austin, kind of stay in the same area. But they're actually building a med school also where I'm from in Tyler, and so, I mean, I'll be happy if I get in anywhere, but if I had to pick, it'd be between those three.
Awesome. So you want to stay within Texas then? Okay, that's good. And we want to keep all the talent that we can here in the state.
For sure.
At least in my opinion. So, okay. So you seems like you have your life pretty well planned out. You know, your goals are kind of set. What do you do for fun though? I mean, when it comes time to relax, I know it's rare. You got 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of football, 8 hours of class. What about that 25 minutes that is not in there? I mean, what do you do during that time?
I mean, now I think it's just watching football, honestly. So football kind of has that 8 hours, but I think for me it kind of gets spread out a little bit at watching football, hanging out with friends, just kind of doing the stuff that kids my age do, I guess.
So do you prefer collegiate football, or do you like the NFL?
Probably I'd say collegiate. I like watching college football.
It seems better.
I watch both of them, and I love
Sure.
watching both of them. But if I had to pick just college, you get the college football atmosphere, and you can't really compare that to anything else.
No, I agree with you. Who's your favorite NFL team, though?
Favorite NFL team, I'd have to go with the Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
A lot of people kind of, it's bandwagon. The Chiefs are good, but I'm from White House High School. It's where
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is from, so I have a reason for liking the Chiefs. But yeah, I'd have to say the Chiefs.
He's pretty good. Do you pat on your game after him at all?
I don't know if any. I think everybody who plays football now tries to, but
sure.
I wish I could.
Well, you play quarterback though. Those offensive linemen might want to throw a sidearm pass here or there in practice, but they don't have a real chance at being Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
So talk a little bit about things you like. You know, what are your favorite movies? What's your favorite genre of music? Maybe a song.
Favorite movie? You know, one that I liked as a little kid and I still like now is The Lion King. Can never go wrong with The Lion King. I also love Remember the Titans.
Oh, that's great.
Love watching that movie. Favorite music, it kind of depends what I'm doing. If I'm like working out before a game, you know, I listen to the typical like rap music, kind of get going, get in the right mood. I like listening to country music, just kind of whatever. It depends on what I'm doing.
Awesome. So give us your favorite moment of your time here at Southwestern. It can be athletic, it can be academic, it could be just, you know, I had this great date on Friday, you know, whatever it is.
Favorite moment, I mean, I guess it would have to be this past Saturday. That was kind of the first experience I've had in a real game like that. And so just being able to play, being able to have a positive play and do stuff like that. I mean, it was fun being able to travel and just experience everything with the team. And so, I mean, I haven't been here that long, and so I'd probably say that one.
Well, you know, the punt that landed on the one is a great punt, but you had some pretty good kicks after that as well. So, you know, you don't want to just say that one play, right?
Yeah.
Because I think you contributed well at the moments that you needed to be contributing. So, do you have anyone you want to thank before we let you go and move on to segment 3?
I mean, I'd like to thank Coach Austin, Coach Mask, just for the opportunity that I have to play at Southwestern and to play football again. I'd like to thank my team. I mean, football it's a long season. You go and you practice every day, and it takes up several months. And if you don't have people that you enjoy doing it with, then it can get pretty long. And I love being able to go out with the guys on my team and have fun and just be out there with them. And so it makes it really enjoyable. It makes it to where it's not a drag going out every day. And so,
yeah, if it becomes a grind and it's not fun, then it's time to find something else to do, because there's a lot of work involved in football. If you're not having fun, then you don't need to be out there.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly right.
So is there anyone you want to shout out? You know, old coaches, parents, teachers, anyone?
I mean, I think my grandma and grandpa, I think, are watching it right now, so I'll shout them out because I know they'd be excited to see that. So,
hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Awesome. Well, this is Jake Clemens, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to wrap up segment 2, and we'll head into segment 3 here in a moment on SU Football Weekly. We'll be right back.
Awesome. Thank you.
And welcome back to quarter number 3 of SU Football Weekly. Merle Bertrand here. I want to thank some more of our sponsors: John F. Lewis CPA, Mighty Fine Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Minuteman Press and Waterboy Graphics, Primerica Financial Solutions, Ross and Champion, Rudy's, and Schlotsky's of Georgetown. Well, it's time to class up to join a little bit here after talking to all these football guys and Chuck and I hanging around. We're pleased to be joined by Southwestern University President Dr. Laura Scandera-Trombley, and thanks for taking the time to come out tonight and being on the show.
Thank you, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, that's right. I will start out the way I start out with every player. Just take a moment to introduce yourself to the folks out there.
Well, it's lovely to be here tonight. I'm now starting my 3rd year here at Southwestern University, loving every minute of it, and I'm the mother of a 26-year-old son who's a liberal arts college graduate.
Well, you came to Southwestern by way of the University of Bridgeport and Pritzker College, Co-College in Iowa also as well. What caught your eye about Southwestern and what brought you here to Georgetown?
Southwestern is very well known in academic circles, and it's synonymous with academic excellence. So years before I had any idea where Southwestern was located, I knew it was a great institution, and that's one of the reasons why I was very interested in coming here.
Well, as you mentioned, your 3rd year, you officially began in July of 2020. What's the experience been like so far, especially as you've kind of settled in now over a couple of years?
Well, it's been very exciting. Coming in the middle of a pandemic is
welcome to Georgetown.
A little bit tough.
Yeah.
And then the blizzard that I was assured would never happen here, that was a bit of a challenge. And it's been straight up ever since. Incredible community, wonderful, wonderful students, a great faculty, and I'm having the time of my life.
Well, this is kind of cool. You are Southwestern's 16th president, the first woman to hold the top leadership position here at Texas's oldest university. So it's great to see those kinds of barriers falling one by one all across the country. What does that mean to you personally, if anything?
Well, it's, I think, a good thing that I'm not Southwestern's oldest president. I'd rather be the 16th. And I like to think that I'm a mentor for students, and that's how I act when I teach and when I do my administrative work. And it's to show students the possibilities that exist in their lives and to encourage them to go forward.
Do you hear that every now and then if you go talk to groups, whether it's younger girls, whether it's some of the students here at Southwestern? Do you ever hear that sort of little, pat in the back and thank you for opening up those kind of doors?
I don't get a pat on the back, but I do get a lot of phone calls and letters from young women, and I have Friday afternoons open every week to talk to students, and I have often students coming in and asking me for advice about the next chapter in their lives, and that's very rewarding.
Well, you're also an accomplished author with several books focusing on Mark Twain, which is pretty cool. Talk about that a little bit, and why is he such a fascinating character in American history, especially to you?
Well, he's an American icon. He lived an enormously long life. He finally passed away in 1910 at age 74. He wrote over 30 classic novels, 2,000 essays, 50,000 letters. So for a Mark Twain scholar, there's a whole lot of material to work with.
Plenty more books to come, right? You're just getting started?
In my spare time.
Right. Well, speaking of spare time, what is the role of a university president? People hear those kind of terms thrown around, and, what's that sort of the role that you fulfill? What's your day-to-day activity like, that kind of thing?
Every day is different, but the most important thing that I always keep in front of me is my job is to try and create the best educational environment and the best workplace for faculty and students. It's also to carry the name of the institution so people will understand who we are and what we represent. And it's also to demonstrate to people just how important education is and how it opens doors, and it allows you the opportunity to lead a fulfilled and happy life.
Well, it seems from reading your bio on the website that you place a lot of emphasis on overall improvement in facilities, improvement in the classroom, improvement in personal development, that kind of thing. How does your role as the university president drive that?
One of the things that you really have to look at is to love the institution for what it is and to think about how it's evolving and what it can become. And that is the exciting part about being a member of the Southwestern community right now, because we have an enormously bright future ahead of us.
And obviously a part of that is fundraising. That always sounds kind of so unseemly. Everybody talks about that, but it's so vital. Talk about that and how it works and what your role is in trying to generate revenue for the university as a whole.
I like to put the fun in fundraising.
I like that.
And I want it to connect with people
Yeah.
and to really help people understand that they are supporting the next generation of America's leaders. And the students that we have, as we just learned, are extraordinary young people, and we want to do everything for this country. We want to act on behalf of those students, and we want to make this a better world. And by investing in Southwestern University, you have a direct line for that.
And you seem to have a passion for, liberal arts colleges like Southwestern in general. So why is that, and why are they so special to you, schools like Southwestern and others?
Well, I had the advantage of attending a liberal arts institution, Pepperdine University, and I followed 8 other members of my family there. So we were pretty well known, and I'll tell you, it's not easy to follow the cousin who was the president of his class, applied for a Rhodes Scholarship, was a track star, and married the homecoming queen. So I came in after him and just wanted to do well. But I had the good fortune of having that faculty member who changed my life, who convinced me that I could be more than what I thought I might be able to become, and who supported me in going to graduate school. And that's the same kind of work that we do at Southwestern.
Well, the name of the show is SU Football Weekly, so let's talk about athletics in general, but specifically football. What makes football so important to small universities like Southwestern? I remember talking when the program started about how it kind of puts the school on the map. What's your take on that?
First, we have a great leader in Coach Austin, and we have an incredible supported staff. We have wonderful young men who are part of this program, and they're learning integrity, ethics, and leadership. And they build community. All of that is absolutely who we are and what we try and do and what we aspire to do even better.
Well, it sounds like you've been a passionate advocate for improving facilities across the board. So, including the new stadium that's coming up here in a couple of years, how does improved facilities help that? Not just the football team, but the university as a whole. And it doesn't have to be athletic facilities, other stuff as well.
We are going to be transforming this campus over the next 3 years. So we went out for an $80 million bond over the course of the summer, and we took advantage of the then good interest rates. And we're going to be...
Good timing there, right?
It was good timing. And we'll be investing about $120 million in our campus infrastructure over the next 3 years. So we're going to be building 2 new residence halls, doing a deep renovation of a much-loved building, Mood Bridwell. We are improving all of our athletics fields, and many of those have already seen improvements. And it's important to me that football gets played on campus. We have a gorgeous campus. We want people to come and experience the Southwestern just landscape and the incredible infrastructure that we have there. And this athletics facility with a football stadium will also be the site for our future commencements. So we'll get a lot of use out of it.
Yeah. Well, a new football conference coming up next year. Coach Austin and I talked about that a little bit and your role in that happening. What are the benefits of that move, in your opinion? Are there any downsides that you're kind of worried about at all?
Only for the other teams.
Good. Good answer.
I think we're going to just excel in this conference, and we'll be playing institutions that are similar to us. And we want to go out there, compete, play hard, win, and I think this is a group of liberal arts institutions that, we're going to see some great matches out there. Right.
Do you get to make it to many football games in general, other sports as well? Do you get out as often as you can, or are you just too tied up doing other stuff?
Oh, no, I was a basketball player in high school, and I love athletics. And so when I'm on campus, I'm always attending some of the sports that happen to be going on. Also, I've taught the last 2 years, and so many of my students are on teams, and I like going to cheer them on.
Well, what are some of your longer-term goals, the things that you're really looking forward to accomplish as the years go by here at Southwestern?
Well, I want to continue raising as much money as I possibly can for the university. I want to do my best to secure its future. I want to see it continue to rise in the ranks within American higher education, and to continue to teach and to publish. I intend to stay here for a long, long time. I love it. I'm very happy, and I can't imagine a better place to be.
Well, I started out the segment the same way I do with the players, by giving you a chance to introduce yourself. So I'll close out the segment the same way. We always ask them if they want to give a shout out. Anybody you want to shout out or give a shout out to?
To all my students, love you, work hard. Remember, you represent Southwestern.
Well said. And thank you again for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Laura Scandera-Trombley, our guest here, as we wrap up quarter number 3. Thank you to her for coming out. We'll take a break. When we come back, Coach Austin will be back up here, and we'll preview this Saturday's game against arch rival TLU coming up in the fourth quarter of SU Football Weekly here on Vype. Cut the mic camera. And welcome back to SC Football Weekly. Quarter number 4 about ready to get underway. Merle Bertrand here along with Coach Austin. And, of course, we've got football to talk about. We've got TLU to talk about. But we've got something far more important to talk about here in just a second. As Coach Austin and Marissa brought up a couple of special guests for us.
We have the only 2 7-year-olds in Georgetown that aren't trick-or-treating right now. Reagan drew the short straw by being the daughter of the college football coach. And her best friend, Elsie, who looks really, man, that fur is awesome. They're going to go really quick after the show. So I thought they could get some screen time since they're the only 2 7-year-olds that aren't trick-or-treating in Georgetown. Thank you so much. Good job. Okay. All right, Merle, let's make it quick. Let's talk TLU. We got places to be.
And remember, Bailey, the candy's good, the fruits and that kind of stuff not so good. So make sure you get all the candy you can. Trick-or-treating. We had a family lived down the street from us that worked for Pepsi. So it would go up and down the street when we were trick-or-treating. Hey, the Spencers are giving out cans of Pepsi. So that worked out pretty well. That was a popular spot.
Poor Reagan. It's important to Marissa and I, though, that Reagan's a part of the things that we do professionally, because Marissa's job with the Court-Appointed Special Advocates and how she helps her company or group advocates for the abused and neglected children. She's understand what mom does for a living.
Right.
And then all the things, as President Trump talked about mentoring, I want her to understand what I do as well. Mm-hmm. So she does draw the short straw sometimes. She comes to our events. But I want her to understand that hopefully we're doing impactful work and hopefully inspiring her to find something that she thinks that she can be impactful with as well. So The poor kid can't trick or treat, but it's a long game. Hopefully at the end of her adolescence, she'll be better off for having to be at SU Football Weekly.
Well, pretty cool. Hope to have a good time tonight. Before we get into TLU, we want to thank the rest of our sponsors: Brooks & Ale at the Sheraton, Stephanie Featherstone with State Farm, Upstream Investment Partners, Zan's Hands, Georgetown Shirt Company, First American Title, The Golden Rule, Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Groove Line Productions, HEB, and House of Gains. Before we talk about TLU, I wanted to get your thoughts on what Dr. Trombley said and that kind of thing. It was good, interesting to talk to her and get her perspective on what's happening here on campus.
The way I describe what we're doing with football now, and it starts in 2 weeks, is we're going into Phase 3 of Southwestern football. This is the way I think of it. Phase 1, we started a program. We had initially really great support with the startup. They built us a building to be housed out of. They put us in the conference we could compete in. Financial aid at that time was competitive with who we were playing against. We won a conference championship, put 2 teams in the national rankings. Phase 2 was the COVID era. There hadn't been a lot of injection of resources. We were kind of in survival mode. There's no kind of about it.
Right.
We didn't get to lift weights for 18 months. We just kind of been trying to get through this phase. And now there are resources, there are opportunities coming our way. With our new athletic director, who we met a few weeks ago, Ken Ralph, who's here also,
he's here. Yep.
And Dr. Trombley, that want to have us be back to where we're on a level playing field with the teams we're going to play against as part of our new conference. It's part of the stadium. That's going to be a great whole addition, part of the additions to the campus as a whole. So this is our Phase 3. We're trying to finish up the season great. We have a chance to get to a level record, win more games than we did last year. But you're seeing that when we play Division III football teams, we do well.
Yeah.
When we play teams, we're going to talk about Saul Ross next week. They have a 4-star offensive tackle that had offers to Alabama and Oklahoma State. Why is he in Alpine? Maybe I'll have an answer for you next week. I don't know. They have 4 Division I transfers. I mean, Division III football is not Division III football.
Right.
But we're going to go to a conference that maybe is one of the last remnants of Division III football, where Division III student athletes who are student athletes can compete against other Division III student athletes. It's going to be a great thing for us. We're going to work on the on-campus facilities. Ken is going to work on some things behind the scenes. Everyone's working to do things in our favor to make Phase 3 an awesome phase, because it's been a difficult last couple of years for the players, for the parents, for the administration. No one is super happy about us kind of hanging in this limbo from a football perspective. At least the folks I talk to are not.
Right.
So we are so excited about what's going on, going into what, again, this is my term, not anyone else's, Phase 3 of our football program. And it's just a privilege to get to be a part of Phase 1, Phase 2, and now lead our players and our program into Phase 3. There's so many exciting things that I think are coming our way. So that didn't answer your question, but that's how I feel about President Trombley and Ken Ralph, our new AD, and all the things that they're bringing to our campus. I think it's just a great injection that for us, it's the injection of resources and love and attention at the right time when we really need it.
And real quick here, I wanted to get your thoughts on Jake Clemens. We talked about Damian Gomez taking advantage of his opportunity. Jake obviously doing that as well.
Oh, for sure he did. And Jake told the story great. He came in as a quarterback. He's kind of in that mid-depth chart, quarterback room that's pretty full of players that are capable of playing, and he has other skill sets. And he said, just like he retell the story, can I work on that skill set? Absolutely, Jake. Let's get to work on it. He got with Coach Tyler, who's a fantastic kicking coach. He's working on place kicking. He's working on punting. And Ben Lancaster has had a good season. He's punted, as you mentioned, you were announcing him thinking he was our punter. Had a really good season. He's been Conference Player of the Week. It's not going his way right now in games and in practice. And so Jake is, again, like Damian, made himself an option by performing in practice. And when he got his opportunity, as we talked about, he stepped up. I mean, he rolled that thing to where it stopped on the 1 yard line like a pro, like he'd done it a million times. And then the fourth quarter, we had a freshman long snapper, maybe a little bit nervous. It's a wet ball. It rolled back there. Jake fields it like a pro, gets the snap off, and then the game's done. So great job. And as I said in the first segment, life is about taking advantage of your opportunities. Damian stepped through, got Conference Player of the Week with his opportunity. Jake stepped through and did great. He knows he's in a battle with Ben. We're now in a position where we have two players that are really, really good, and so they're going to continue to make each other better and sharpen each other, and that puts our football team in a good spot.
Absolutely. Well, the Pirates will get their next crack at their oldest continuous rival, their first opponent when football officially returned back in 2013, the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs. The Bulldogs come in at 3-5 overall, 2-4 in conference play after falling to ETBU 38-35 at home on Saturday. I think they got the real ETBU team, not the fake team.
That ETBU had their players back. They got the real ETBU team, yeah.
So tell us about TLU. You probably know them pretty well by now.
It's the only team, as you said, we played every year. The difference, the thing that's unique about them is we've had one coach for 10 years, and this is their fourth. This is their fourth different coach. And I think in the history of their program, 6 years is their longest they've ever had a head coach.
Weird. That's wild.
I don't know. Is it Seguin? Is it something? I don't know. But for whatever reason, they've never had a long-term coach. So while we've played them a lot, they change frequently. So my point is, it's almost like playing a new team on your schedule. They brought in a new coach this year, a lot of new coaching staff. We've seen their uniforms, but what they're doing, we have to learn. It's a new set of systems. What is great about their football team is their offensive efficiency. Their new coach, Neil LeHue, is an offensive coach. You can see his brand on their offense. A lot of the same personnel, same quarterback. They've totally switched systems. They have 74% completion rate this year.
Wow.
By far the highest of anyone that will play. They get the ball out fast. They complete it. They're averaging 23 first downs a game. Really, really efficient. 45% on third downs. They're going to challenge you to find ways to stop them. Because if you just let them, they'll bleed you. Not different way than Austin bled you. Running the dive, running the pitch. They'll do a 3-yard pass here, a 2-yard pass there, a 4-yard run there, and pretty soon they're just moving the ball down the field, and they're efficient in a different way. It's efficiency through the passing game at 74%. As I told the team on Sunday, 74% completion, that's like NFL level efficiency, where they're distributing the ball and they're getting it out fast and they're just taking their 5-6 yards, quick little fakes and a dump to the flat. They're really good at that. So that's going to be the challenge for our defense is to control that. Their defense against our offense, they're very similar in their players last year. Their talent level is pretty similar. So I think we'll have a good idea of who we're going up against. From when we beat them last year, I think their offense is very much improved.
Well, this will be the 10th meeting between the two schools, as we talked about. The Pirates lead the series 5-4. Most of the games have been pretty close with lots of offense, a lot of basketball-type scores. We talked about...
There's a couple years in there we smacked them pretty good.
There were, yeah.
Don't leave out like the 55-14 game and the 51-17 game.
See, coaches always know. Those guys in the booth and the fans, they might have vague memories, but coaches always know.
When you beat a rival by 35 points, you remember those days.
That's right. Well, talk about that history a bit together. You talked about the coaching changes and that kind of thing, but you guys have been through a lot together. talk about kind of coming back together here in the ASC, at least for the final hurrah.
They are an SCAC team, just like Austin College. The two teams on our schedule that we play in all sports is Austin College and Texas Lutheran. So it's an important game across the board because it's a measuring stick. Our soccer teams plays TLU, our volleyball team, our swimming, we play them, and so it's a common denominator. It's also going to be another Division III football game. They're more transfer friendly than us. They do have more transfers, but it's not, they're not loaded up with guys that have stars in their recruiting rankings. They're recruiting Division III and Division II football players. So it's a good contest for us, and it's been a great rivalry. They've won, as you said, they've won a few. We've won a few. They had one of the best running backs in the country when we first started, and so things have, there's the ebbs and flows of these rivalries, and our players know it too. One of the things we talk about in training camp, we always do icebreakers and team meetings to get guys talking and get them to know each other. Is who's your least favorite football team? And guys will say something like, the Dallas Cowboys or something. But guys will also say throw in Texas Lutheran. Guys that play them every year. Now, these are never dirty games. To their credit and our credit, we just go and play some hard football. But when you play a team every year, and again, this is a team you played every year, you can develop those good rivalries where you get a bad taste in your mouth and you can't wait to play them the next year. That's what's fun about games like this.
Yeah, you kind of led into my next question. This is a rivalry game, so there really is something to it because people talk about that all the time. But what does that mean to the players in the locker room, that little extra asterisk by a game like this?
Well, Glenn Schwab and I have been working on this, and maybe Kenny can help us with this. We've wanted to have like a trophy for this game. We've talked about the name of it. Is it the Toll Bowl? The beginning and end of 130 is Georgetown and Seguin. President Trump, you're here. We've just got to get together. We've talked about is a two-side flag, the Pirates and the Bulldogs on one side. But this is a game that is perfect for a trophy. Like all the Big Ten rivalries, Texas Lutheran and Southwestern, they play every year. We're going to play them in non-conference.
I was going to ask you.
It's important to both schools. When we're working on our schedule in the SAA, Glenn is our athletic director, and their athletic director talked, as did the coaches. We want to keep playing. They're on our schedule. And then eventually the SCAC is probably going to get the band back together at some point. We're going to play them every year. So this is perfect. It's geographic. It's close enough academically. The conferences all cross over. We've got to get everybody to the table and figure out what is this game called, what's the traveling trophy going to be. It would be a really cool thing.
Could open up to the fans and have like a fan poll kind of thing.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Well, last question for you. Obviously, homecoming week. You only had the 4 home games here, so but this is homecoming week coming relatively late in the season. Talk about that a little bit and some of the stuff that's going on for homecoming.
Sure. For anyone that doesn't know, in 1909, Southwestern held the first homecoming. They brought folks back to San Gabriel Park, and they had a picnic dinner, and alumni fundraised for the event. They housed folks that came back to town. And, of course, homecoming, everyone does it now across the world and everything. So a really cool piece of Southwestern history is that we started homecoming.
It's like for everybody across the country?
For everybody. You didn't know that, Merle?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it before.
You probably saw like 10 years ago when I was like
probably told us 10 years ago. So we have an obligation to put on a great homecoming game and have a great homecoming event because it's a special part of what Southwestern does. It's just in the fabric of who we are. We invented the thing, right? You better do it. You better do it well. So from a football standpoint, we'll be right back here at the Sheridan Friday night over at Jack's Lounge. We have a gathering of our alumni that are coming to town just to meet and greet, to get together, giving them tickets for the next game, talking about what's going on, catching up on their lives. At halftime, we're doing a ceremony for the 2010s All-Decade team.
Cool.
And I think of the 24 players on that team, I think we're going to have about 18 or 19 of them back, which is great. A lot of them are really working hard to get here. They're active high school coaches. They're going to coach Friday night, but they're going to drive through and get here on Saturday. So that is going to be a really cool thing as well. So from a football perspective, those are the 2 main events we have going on for homecoming as well as the game. And, of course, I told the team, your job at homecoming is to win the homecoming game. That sets off the whole weekend. The whole vibe after the game is all set on how you perform. The other thing we have going on is, as you said, we only have 4 home games because we had to switch things around with Belhaven leaving the conference. This will also be senior day. So it's jam-packed. Our senior day ceremony will be before the game. 12 seniors that have meant an awful lot to our program. A few of them are fifth-year seniors that played their COVID year. A few of them are going to play their COVID year next year, so we're not losing all of them.
Right.
But they wanted to go through with the players they came in with.
Gotcha.
And I don't care if they do 2 senior days, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
to get out there with your parents that have been there together for 4 years and your players you've been together with for 4 years. So we'll have 12 seniors out there. Now, next year's senior group is going to be like 22, 23. Across the country, senior days were down this year because they had to survive the COVID thing.
Right.
And it was just such a war of attrition for football programs. Austin College, for example, has 7 seniors. And I know all schools are kind of down as far as their senior classes go. But as we got on the backslide of this, our next group next year is going to be back where we want it, a really big group of seniors, and hopefully that will continue to be what we're back to as we go through the years.
Going to be rebuilding a little bit all across the country. So any final thoughts or anything else you wanted to add about TLU that I didn't touch on, other than the fact it's going to be a good football game?
Yeah, it's going to be a good football game. Very similar football teams. I think one of the keys will be they're really efficient on offense. So what can we do on third down? Can we get off the field? And they're going to have some success, so can we continue? The other key is, can we continue our offensive success?
Right.
535 yards of offense, 4 touchdowns in a row, 7 touchdowns to the game, ran for 250, threw for 270, great balance. Are we able to continue that into this game will be a really big key.
Well, we will find out because the Pirates will face off against Texas Lutheran Bulldogs on Saturday. Game time is set for 1 o'clock. We'll be on the air at roughly 12:45 from Boca Field. So thanks to Coach Austin, our guests, Dr. Trombley and Jay Clemens, Bessie Martinez with the Georgetown Sheraton, and everybody who came out tonight, everybody for tuning in. On behalf of our producer, Suna Vincott, Chuck Gracie, Christina Weber, Bertrand, my better half, our QA tonight. She started the QA department. It's actually our anniversary today.
Congratulations.
We've been together for 22 years. We got married 3 years ago. So we're working to our anniversary literally. So thank you, Christina. Love you. And have a great week. We'll be back here 1 week from tonight to talk about the Pirates' win against the TLU Bulldogs. Have a great week. Have a very safe and happy Halloween. And we'll see you Saturday for Pirate football right here on Vype. Good night, everybody.
Hi, Mom.